Happy Monday, football fans. My name is Trace Moustakas. You can call me Moose. Welcome into NFL Daily by Chat Sports. We are less than 3 weeks away from the NFL draft, and over the weekend and into this morning, there have been some huge names in NFL prospects that have been kind of floated around, and we have to explore the latest in these rumors. Now, before we do that, make sure you tell us who you have winning tonight, because it is a huge night in college basketball. It is the national championship game between Florida and Houston. So let me know who you have winning tonight. Type F for Florida or H for Houston. I'm not going to type my answer, but I'm going to give it to you right now. Give me the Gators. All right, so here we go. Let's start with the first huge name, Abdul Carter, the edge rusher out of Penn State. Now, I feel like with all of the quarterback talk and with all of the wide receiver talk and the running back class, Abdul Carter seems to be one of those players that's been kind of glossed over because of how good he is, and everyone's like, yeah, he's solid at number 2. There is nothing that's going to change. Cleveland's going to take him. Not so fast, my friend. There is a Bears beat reporter out there that was talking about a potential trade for Abdul Carter from the Bears, and here's what he had to say. He's from Bears Sports Illustrated. Carter is the definition of a game wrecker and by far the top defensive prospect in this draft. Couldn't agree more. Paired up with a guy like Montez Sweat, he has the potential to be a yearly double-digit sack guy and perennial Pro Bowler. This would be a home run for the Bears. Now, I agree with that statement, but at first glance, I think to myself, okay, well, you have to have something to go along with that. You can't just throw out the Bears' name and say, hey, it would be really cool if they did it. You have to back it up with at least a mock trade. Well, I spoke too soon because that's exactly what he did. So here is what the Carter trade idea looks like from that Sports Illustrated article. The Bears would receive the number 4 overall pick in this year's draft, and the Patriots would receive the Bears pick at number 10 and a second-round pick at number 39. Now, before I get into what I think about the actual trade proposal and if it would go through, let's talk a little bit about his fit on the Bears, Abdul Carter's. Clearly, the Bears need a edge rusher to pair alongside Montez Sweat. We saw last year when Montez Sweat was the go-to number 1 option for the Chicago Bears, he kind of let us down. 16 games played, and he had a major fall off from the 2023 season. Now, what's the reason for that? Well, teams got smart. They started to double Sweat, and they said, look, we don't think you're a game breaker enough to go out there and get double-digit sacks if we double team you, and the rest of the Bears' defensive line wasn't strong enough to get to the quarterback at a consistent level. So I don't think that Montez Sweat is that certified Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons type player. But what I do think is if you pair another really elite pass rusher with him, you are looking at a dynamic duo of sorts at the pass rusher position that can both give you double-digit sacks. So you can't really compare college to football, college to the NFL. It's kind of like apples to oranges in my opinions, but what this graphic shows between these two is what Montez Sweat was lacking and what Abdul Carter could do for the Bears defensive line if they were able to draft him, if this trade were to go through. Abdul Carter is a game wrecker. He is a guy straight out of the NFL or into the NFL that I believe rookie season is going to give you at least 8 sacks. That takes the double teams away from Montez Sweat, so he's one-on-one with opposing left tackles and right tackles. You can flip him inside. He's a good run stopper. Both of these two together would elevate each other's game because you can't focus on one specific player. So I love the idea of Carter going to the Bears. However, I don't think he's going to be there at 4. So this whole scenario just kind of gets poo-pooed right off the bat because, in my opinion, the best kept secret, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that the Cleveland Browns are going to select Abdul Carter. Don't let what the media is telling you fool you. It's been reported basically from day one that Cleveland is all in on having Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter on the same defensive line. And I can't disagree with them. That is the best edge rushing duo in the NFL if it happens day one. Mark it down. That's how highly I feel about Abdul Carter. But what say you? Will a team trade up to draft Abdul Carter? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm going to say no, and I'm only going to say no because I don't think that Cleveland would entertain any of those calls. I think they are hell-bent on getting a transformative talent, either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, but I think if you were to ask me right now what they're saying in their draft room, it's Abdul Carter. All right, on to our second juicy draft rumor, and this one I have a lot to say about because I just don't understand where it's coming from. The Jalen Milroe draft stock has been heating up, and this is according to a bunch of different NFL outlets and draft analysts. Dane Brugler put this out, and I thought it was noteworthy. This itself is not huge news, but what it infers is huge news. So Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe has accepted an invitation to attend the 2025 NFL Draft in Green Bay. Why? Usually, if you're going to the draft, that means you're either a first or a second round pick. Now, all of the analysts have told you that he's a day 3 pick. He's a mid-third to late, early 4th, and some even have him as much as a late 4th round pick. Tremendous athlete, but lacks the skills to play quarterback at the next level. So I'm sitting here wondering where on earth this Jalen Milroe, draft stock explosion has come from. I mean, as a player, I understand from a dynamic perspective in college football, he was fantastic. Just look at his career at Alabama. I mean, he improved greatly from 2022 to 2023, but then kind of dropped off from 2023 to 2024. And what most GMs and coaches are looking for is, can you improve every single year? And not only did he not improve, he fell off with his passing. His rushing got better, and you can't tell the story between Jalen Milroe just by looking at his passing numbers. I'm one of those people that, if it's part of their game, you have to talk about it. Same thing with Justin Fields and guys, Lamar Jackson. You have to be able to talk about their rushing stats. And he is an excellent runner of the football. There is no doubt in my mind this guy is an incredible athlete, and his draft stock is heating up. However, who are the teams that have reported or kind of, kept the Jalen Milroe in the first round draft stock alive? Well, the media believes it's the Steelers. A lot of people have come out and said, the Steelers love Milroe. They think he's amazing. They love his athleticism and his ability to throw the deep ball and his physical traits and his leadership. But what you haven't told me is, can he play quarterback? And here's the sad reality of it. He's a tremendous athlete, like I alluded to, but he lacks the refined skills to play quarterback at the NFL level. So what does that mean? All of the things that go on in between the hash marks when it comes to sitting inside the pocket, he does not do well. In fact, some of his major weaknesses, especially when it comes to passing the ball, are as follows. He struggles with anticipatory throws. So when he's, 3-step drop, move up in the pocket, deliver the throw, he struggles with that. That's like on-script quarterback play, which is pretty much kind of like the prerequisite to playing quarterback. His instinct is to take off and run. So, and we're going to get there kind of in just a couple of seconds. So when his first read isn't there, he just tucks it and runs. And that's going to be great for the first couple of years of your career as you're young and athletic and there's no tape on you. His third weakness is that he lacks touch on finesse throws. So everything he throws is a fastball. And then his success rate plummets when he's committing or when that first route kind of falls apart. When his number one option isn't there, he just doesn't know what to do with the football. And that goes back to number 2, which is his instinct is to take off and run. So all of that being said leads me to believe that he probably does sit in that 3rd to 4th round, area. But there is one team, not the Steelers, that is incredibly high on Jalen Milroe, and I cannot believe that this was reported from another AFC North team, and we're going to tell you here in just a second. But before we do that, our video is sponsored by our friends over at Game Time. Listen, if you want to go to concerts, comedy events, and all of the different events that Game Time has to offer, you got to do it with Game Time. They have all of the best deals, so you can save even more when you go to your selection and you let Game Time choose the seats. The lowest price is guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Last year, my fiance and I decided to go to a Bears-Minnesota Vikings game. Boy, was that awful. But we did it with Game Time, and we had an unbelievable experience. We also used Game Time ticket coverage, so my purchase was covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. You can take all that guesswork, like I said, out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. They have last minute tickets with the lowest prices guaranteed. Okay. So one thing, again, that I'm talking about when it comes to Jalen Milroe is this other team that seems to be highly interested in taking him in the first round. Cleveland. I just choked on my words there a little bit, struggle getting that name out. The Cleveland Browns are rumored to be exploring Milroe in round one. And if there is one team in the NFL that would overreach for a player like Milroe and believe that he can make a difference on day one as a starting quarterback, it's the Cleveland Browns. Now, the guy that kind of, threw this, name out there for the Cleveland Browns is a writer for Ravens Wire, and his name is something Irby. Irby is his last name. I forgot. I'm blanking on the first name. But Irby's mock trade looks like this. So in this article, he notes that the Browns would take a big swing and draft Jalen Milroe at the end of the first round by sending their third-round pick, number 67, their fourth-round pick, number 104, and a second in next year's draft for pick number 32 and a fourth-round pick this year to draft Jalen Milroe. That is way too much to move up one spot, by the way, because Cleveland has the number 33 overall pick in the second round. So that's the first pick in the second round. And you mean to tell me the Eagles are going to call up the Browns and say, hey, you might want to move up one spot. We're thinking about taking Jalen Milroe. Give me a break. That is not going to happen. And the truth is that Milroe is not a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. At least not right now. Anything can happen when it comes to development. Everybody said the same thing about Lamar Jackson. So the physical traits to be an athlete in this league are there. But we have seen from multiple players, athleticism is not enough to sustain your career. It's good enough to get your foot in the door, and it's good enough to make some YouTube highlights, but it is not good enough to sustain your job as an NFL quarterback for years to come. You may get a year and a half of really solid play after that. Then the league catches up to you, they get film on you, and they learn how to play against you. So, sorry to all the Jalen Milroe fanboys out there, but as of right now, he's a little bit more like a Taysom Hill to me. Bring him in on 3rd down and 3. He can deliver a strike, make a throw, and on an RPO can get you a first down. But he's not ready to take over an NFL franchise. So I'm going to ask you this question. It's not necessarily about Jalen Milroe, but about quarterbacks in general. How many quarterbacks do you think go in round one of the NFL draft? If you would have asked me a month ago, I would have told you it was 2. It would have been Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. But now I'm thinking it's most likely going to be 3. 4 is pushing it. So I'll pencil in 3. I think Jackson Dart is going to be that 3rd quarterback that goes in. Our last little juicy nugget for rumors actually just came as we were getting ready to film this video. The Titans have respectfully canceled private workouts. This is from Todd McShay, by the way, with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, making it so abundantly clear that Cam Ward is going to be the number 1 overall pick. And now, at least according to Todd McShay, that Hunter and Cleveland at number 2 is gaining more steam. And that means Abdul Carter versus Shedeur Sanders for the Giants at number 3 is kind of gaining traction. I don't buy into this as much as a lot of people think. I think this is Cleveland's way of kind of spicing up that number 2 overall pick. They're not guaranteeing that they're going to take Abdul Carter, they're kind of doing their due diligence in this, so to speak. So when it comes to the Giants, I don't want to necessarily focus on Cleveland because we just talked about Cleveland for a second, but let's talk about the Giants for a second. What do the Giants team needs? If we just go with the rumor and let's say hypothetically it happens, the Cleveland Browns select Travis Hunter. The Giants team needs go as follows. They need a quarterback for the future. They're renting Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. They need more help on the interior offensive line. They could use a cornerback on the opposite end of Paulson Adebo, but they also need more help with wide receiver and tight end. They need more skill position on offense. So offense is their biggest needs. You mean to tell me that if it was between Shedeur Sanders and Abdul Carter, based on what we're seeing right here, that they're going to seriously consider drafting Abdul Carter? I don't see it happening. The Giants should draft Shedeur in that case. Now, I am a big believer here that the Giants should draft Travis Hunter. I think pairing him on the opposite end of Malik Neighbors would go insane, and you would just ride it out with Russell Wilson for 1 year and then draft a quarterback in 2026. But it's not up to me. I'm not Joe Shane. I don't make those decisions. I can only give you my opinion and what I see on the table. So I think they should draft Shedeur Sanders and let the chips fall where they may. If that is the case, if Travis Hunter gets taken at 2. If Travis Hunter is available at 3, you take Travis Hunter. Point blank. All right, it's going to do it for us on today's episode. Remember to subscribe, like the video, and share this with a friend. My name is Moose. Until next time, be cool.